Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Thursday, January 23rd. I saw an article come across my screener the other day saying Guggenheim's chief investment officer, Menard, I don't remember his name, calls the economy and the global economy a Ponzi scheme. So I bookmarked that article figuring of course, I've been calling Ponzi scheme for a decade on this channel. Global generational debt-based fiat Ponzi scheme is a more accurate assessment of our world run by the central banks. And when they can create trillions of dollars of wealth out of thin air, it devalues and destroys everybody's savings, everybody's purchasing power, everybody's paycheck, and it benefits the 0.01 at the top that run the debt and death Ponzi scheme. All the corporations, the political parties, the religions, anybody who's got power based off of this debt and death paradigm, they're running on top of huge Ponzi schemes. Even my beloved Tesla. Let's be honest here. This is a car company that has not made a lot of money. It has a lot of growth to do, and yet it's now by far the largest car company in the world, despite really not selling a lot of cars yet. Yes, it has a ton of potential. Yes, I'll probably never drive anything else but a Tesla. But $100 billion, when Elon Musk barely could get, 420 secured funding, and now it's at 510 like nothing. It's a short squeeze. But it's also a liquidity push. Where else are you going to put money in the world today? You want to keep it in the fastest, highest flying things. And that's why we have $1 trillion market caps for Apple and Google and all these other, information industrial complex industries that are out there. But when I actually went to go listen to the interview with Guggenheim's Menard and listen to it on Bloomberg Markets, somebody's been listening to me.
I would call monetary policy a policy of bubble to bubble. For instance, to save the economy after the stock market crash, right? The Fed cut rates and overinflated commercial real estate, and then we had to bail out the banks with the Resolution Trust Corporation. So then once things calmed down again, investors no longer thought that commercial real estate was safe, and they inflated the internet bubble to the wealth effect to keep the economy going. And then, of course, it went bust, and so then people didn't feel safe in stocks, so they started buying homes. And we played that out, and it bust. And so my attitude is when you look at the amount of leverage in corporate America and where we are today, you definitely are inflating a bubble here in credit.
So listen to how he describes it. Obviously, he's a lot more, polished, and he runs with a higher crowd and stuff like that. And I would too. I'm trying to talk to the average person, trying to save them from this Ponzi collapse.
Is the elasticity or malleability of the system there so we can respond and react when we get that? Or is it a jump condition where it's going to be ugly?
Well, one of my colleagues at Guggenheim likes to say that asset prices go up on an escalator and they come down.
Log normal.
And
Absolutely.
They come down in an elevator.
Yeah.
Right? So the problem is, since nobody I know is smart enough to figure out when the music stops, I think that's a really difficult thing for people to try to time.
But he goes on to basically say that, and this is probably one of the most pressing questions on there. It's like when somebody says Ponzi scheme, is there malevolent forces out there? Is there, somebody who's bordering on criminality that's, like Bernie Madoff, but it's a global...
The news you've made here, Scott Meinert, about a Ponzi scheme, that assumes under Ponzi, under what we know of Bernie Madoff, there's someone ill out there, there's someone evil, there's someone bordering on civil or criminal violation. Who is that person within the Meinert Ponzi scheme?
Look, I'm not so sure that when Hyman Minsky framed the comment about a Ponzi market, that he was thinking that there was some nefarious activity going on. It's more of an investor behavior which is being encouraged, if you want to find out.
By who?
By the Fed.
And I'm screaming on the other side of the room. I'm going, it's the Fed! It's the Bank of International Settlements. That's where the criminal operation is, and it's warped humanity. But the actual interview gets even better. Listen to this last part.
Where do you put your money? What's the number one conviction trade right now for you, 2020?
Silver.
Silver?
Silver?
No.
Why not gold?
Because when you look at the relative values of silver and gold, silver today is about, let's say, 60 65% below its prior peak. Gold is getting very close to its prior peak.
Can it go exponential like we're seeing in some of the non-precious metals?
I think there's a high probability of that.
Yes, you saw on Bloomberg somebody say the solution for all of these global generational debt-based fiat Ponzi schemes is silver. Not me, not the crazy dude on YouTube who's been at it for, since 2005 and pounding the table since 2011 on YouTube and, designed all these coins and all this other stuff. Silver, according to this, I'm sure he runs very well in high crowds. I'm sure he's at Davos and running all this other. Silver, folks, when they can't hide it anymore, they'll admit it. And the problem is nobody sees this coming. Now I have one person, one person who sees global generational debt-based fiat Ponzi scheme and solution is silver. Folks, I don't know how long this is, but I can tell you that when this does turn, it will be the single largest event in human history. You're either prepared today the best that you can with real tangible wealth and all the other things that will go along with that, or you're fooling yourself. Yeah, just yesterday, I even got a New York Post reporter interview me for an hour and a half about they were looking for people who had walked away from their inheritance. And I was like, God, I'm starting to feel like all this momentum coming to silver, and it would take very little for me to, to get onto a bigger platform and for people to understand just how important physical silver is in your thing. And then out of nowhere, within a few hours of me meditating on that, I get a New York Post reporter who wanted to interview me. And it wasn't specifically about silver, but I got into the story about me walking away from my inheritance and all the troubles and tribulations that I went through and reestablishing myself and figuring out, what kind of man and life I was going to live. And, so that article should be coming out next week. I don't know if it's going to be like a little blurb in some larger article about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle leaving the British royal family. But I think it will make for an interesting thing. And like I said, if I get on, New York Post, more people start in the Manhattan area start going, oh, I just heard Guggenheim CIO talk about Ponzi scheme and silver being the solution. Now I'm seeing this young kid who's been at it for 10 years and, oh, what's this? Like, Silver Shield is the leverage that you need on top of silver. Like, silver's going to do really well, exponentially well, relative to all other assets out there, including gold. But instead of trying to leverage yourself with, mining stocks and something else, another digital illusion of wealth or silver ETFs or puts or calls or whatever, buy physical Silver Shield, because it's going to be the brand name that everybody's going to want, because we've been claiming this space for a decade, talking about this, giving solutions, enabling the people who did it and understand to be the meek that inherit the earth when this Ponzi scheme collapses. It won't take much, folks. And I can feel the tide coming, not only in terms of, all the headlines and, the fragile nature of this virus that's going on in China. This is a serious thing that would obviously slow down their Christmas, equivalent Christmas season and, put another hamper on a global economy. China's the number one or number two, economic entity out there. And if they're going to suffer from this virus thing, and who knows where else it goes, it could spread. Stuff goes with Iran. It wasn't a week ago they were like, oh my God, hashtag draft, hashtag World War III, hashtag nukes. Now it's like, who cares? They do it to manipulate you folks. They don't want war like this. They want to enforce their will because they can't win in Iran. There's just no way. We learned, if you saw what we did in Iraq, never got that right. Flat desert, lots of easy places to control. Still never got right. Afghanistan, real mess, right? We have to make drug lords and opium production. Iran is like the worst of all worlds because it's a completely mountainous area. It's got a tradition against the encroachment of this. But any of these things could kick off the market. Or, a bond failure or something bad could happen very quickly and the ramifications can shatter through the economy quickly. And anybody who thinks like, oh, well, I have my money in the money market and then, I'll be able to transfer it into this and then I'll be able to transfer that. No, you don't realize how quick this can all go down. And the worst part is, by the time most of the damage is done, you won't even know it. You'll be like, oh, gas went from, $2.40 here to maybe $4. And then you're like, oh, Now my neighbor got laid off, and this company's shutting this down, and this isn't good, and God, we've increased the global debt by double, and whatever we thought happened in 2008 was bad, this has got to be way worse. And now it's not just a few home markets, and a few bad banks. It's the entire global economy, and it's all a Ponzi scheme. And yet, Scott Minerd, Guggenheim Partners co-founder and chief investment officer, offering the only way out his conviction buy is silver.
Where do you put your money? What's the number one conviction trade right now for you, 2020?
Silver.
Silver.
Silver? Why not gold?
Because when you look at the relative values of silver and gold, silver today is about, let's say, 65% below its prior peak. Gold is getting very close to its prior peak.
Can it go exponential like we've seen in some of the non-precious metals?
I think there's a high probability of that.
Are you going to wait until somebody else says it, or is logic going to speak to you? Can you read the writing on the wall? So just to also clean up some other business, I posted the new We Indoctrinate You over at the Silver Shield Group, along with the 2020 2-ounce BU piece. If you haven't seen that design, it's really beautiful. That's available over at the Silver Shield Group. Anybody interested in joining the Silver Shield Group? That's where I usually put my more controversial designs, and lower mintages and kind of off strikes. If you're really interested in owning all the stuff that I do, that's a good option. You can join in the link in the description box below. And then also we just released the new Death coin, 1-ounce proof Death, which was the counterpart to the Life design that we did probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's available now. Then, of course, we got 3 more days of the 1-ounce BU Esoteric Virtues. That comes with a certificate of authenticity, sells comparable to what you would buy a government mint coin, except it comes in a much smaller mintage and comes with a certificate of authenticity. They all seem to go up tremendously on eBay, more than any other silver you can buy for a comparable value. And, as part of a very large and growing Silver Shield collection, you can find all the information over the whole series at silvershieldguide.com. John just revamped the entire book, keeps adding more value for the same price. I think he's added new online features and stuff like that, but I highly encourage everybody to go check that out too. Thank you.